What if a single decision you made a decade ago came back to haunt you when you least expected it? For Nathan Caldwell, a self-made millionaire, the carefully built walls around his perfect life began to crumble on a fateful afternoon at Paris's bustling Gare du Nord station. Among the sea of travelers rushing to their destinations, a face from his buried past emerged. Claire, the woman he once loved and abandoned. But it wasn't just Claire that caught his attention. It was the boy walking beside her. The child had his piercing blue eyes, the same unruly blonde hair, and even the same dimpled smile. The resemblance was too striking to ignore. As Nathan stood frozen amidst the crowd, questions began swirling in his mind. Could this boy be his son? What secrets had Claire kept from him? Before Nathan could process the shocking realization, another man appeared by Claire's side, tall, confident, and protective. He leaned down to whisper something to her, and in that moment Nathan saw them for what they appeared to be. A family. But how could this be? Nathan was supposed to be part of Claire's life, part of her future. He made one mistake, one choice to prioritize ambition over love. Could the boy be the echo of that mistake? The rush of trains, the cacophony of voices, and the pang of guilt all overwhelmed Nathan. Determined to uncover the truth, he abandoned his trip, left his assistant's desperate calls unanswered, and plunged into the heart of Paris to chase the ghosts of his past. Little did he know, what awaited him was not just a reunion but a confrontation with betrayal, jealousy, and the price of redemption. What happens when the truth resurfaces? What secrets has Claire been hiding? And who is the man standing by her side? Stay tuned, because this is a story about love, betrayal, and the fight for a second chance at family. Don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more gripping stories. Your support helps us create more content that touches the heart and sparks the imagination. Comment below, what would you do if your past came knocking at your door? Nathan's life had always been defined by ambition. Born into a struggling family, he fought his way to the top, earning scholarships to prestigious universities and eventually landing a high-profile job in Paris. It was during this time that he met Claire. Claire was everything Nathan wasn't. While he thrived on structure and strategy, she was a free spirit, an artist who saw beauty in the mundane. They met at a quaint café on Rue Saint-Honoré, where Claire was sketching portraits of passers-by. Nathan, intrigued by her talent, struck up a conversation, and before long, their lives became intertwined. For a time, their love seemed unbreakable. Claire introduced Nathan to the softer, more vibrant sides of life, impromptu midnight strolls along the Seine, lazy Sundays at the art galleries, and the joy of creating memories without a plan. Nathan, in turn, brought stability to Claire's life, encouraging her to pursue larger opportunities with her art. But as Nathan's career skyrocketed, so did the demands of his corporate life. Late-night meetings, endless networking, and the relentless pursuit of success began chipping away at the relationship. The breaking point came when Nathan was offered a promotion that required relocating to New York. Claire, deeply rooted in Paris, couldn't bear the thought of leaving her city, her art, and the life they had built together. Arguments ensued, each more heated than the last. "Why can't you see that this is our chance?" Nathan had exclaimed one night, his voice echoing in the small apartment they shared. "I'm not asking you to give up your art. I'm asking you to trust me, to come with me. And what about my dreams?" "Nathan," Claire shot back, her voice trembling, "are they supposed to take a backseat to yours? You're not the man I fell in love with anymore. You're chasing a life that doesn't include me." The words stung, but they rang true. Nathan, blinded by ambition and the allure of success, couldn't see the cost of his decisions. On a cold December morning, he left Claire with nothing but a note, promising that it was for the best. Nathan told himself it was the right decision. In the letter he left on the table, he wrote, "Claire, you deserve someone who can be there for you, someone who understands and loves you in a way I can't. I need more for myself. And I know it's not fair to you. I hope you find happiness. Please, Don't look for me. Nathan walked away, carrying his suitcase and dreams of a life filled with power and prestige. He had no idea that just a few days later, Claire would discover she was pregnant. When Claire realized Nathan had left her, it felt as if her entire world had crumbled. Every morning in their small Paris apartment began with a loneliness that weighed heavily on her heart. When the pregnancy test revealed 2 lines, Claire didn't know how to feel. She was terrified, yet hopeful. Above all, she knew she had to be strong. Claire made the decision not to contact Nathan. If he was brave enough to walk away, then I can be strong enough to move forward, she told herself. The months that followed were filled with challenges. Claire gave up on major art projects, taking on part-time work at a cafe to save every penny she could for her baby's arrival. She was no longer the dreamy artist she once was, but a practical woman, determined to do whatever it took for the child growing inside her. Meanwhile, Nathan was rapidly climbing the ladder of success. Lavish meetings, international business trips, and multi-million-dollar contracts made him one of the youngest executives at the largest corporation in New York. Yet, in quiet moments, when the city lights twinkled outside his office window, he couldn't stop thinking about Claire. He convinced himself he had done the right thing. She'll be fine. She's stronger than anyone I've ever known, he thought. Still, an invisible void lingered. Every time his colleagues shared photos of their families, or he heard the laughter of children at company events, Nathan felt an ache he couldn't explain. But his pride kept him from ever reaching out or finding out what had become of Claire. 10 years passed until that fateful day at Gare du Nord. Nathan, now a millionaire, could never have imagined how abruptly the past would collide with his present. The boy, with strikingly deep blue eyes and a mischievous grin, was a mirror image of Nathan's younger self. But before he could process the shock, another man appeared by Claire's side. Tall, composed, and protective, the stranger's presence struck Nathan like a blow. He realized that he wasn't just haunted by his past. He was staring at the painful truth. He no longer had a place in Claire's life or that boy's. Nathan didn't sleep that night. Claire's cold words rang in his ears. You don't get to walk back into our lives just because you feel guilty. She was right. Guilt wasn't enough. He needed a way to prove to her, to Leo, and perhaps to himself, that he was ready to take responsibility for his mistakes. The next morning, Nathan sat at a cafe near Montmartre, his laptop open as he reviewed old photos. Most were from his successful career, glossy events, luxurious vacations, and business triumphs. But one folder, buried deep in his files, caught his attention. Paris 2012. He clicked it open. There they were, Claire and him, smiling under the Eiffel Tower, eating crepes at a street market, and laughing together at a tiny art gallery. Each image was a painful reminder of what he had thrown away. One photo stopped him cold. Claire was holding up a sketch, a drawing of a child. This is what I imagine our family would look like, she had joked. The memory hit him like a freight train. Mark called later that afternoon. I've arranged a meeting, he said cautiously. It won't be easy, but Claire agreed to see you alone. No, Julian. Nor Leo. Nathan's heart leapt and sank simultaneously. He wanted to see Leo, but he knew he had to earn that privilege. They met at a quiet cafe on the edge of Montmartre. Claire arrived first, her arms crossed and her expression guarded. Nathan entered moments later, nervous but determined. He approached her table slowly, unsure if he should sit before being invited. Claire gestured silently to the chair across from her. Why are you here? Nathan, Claire asked, her voice calm but icy. What do you want? Nathan hesitated. I want to make things right. Claire's eyes narrowed. You think you can undo 10 years of abandonment with a few words? Leo doesn't even know who you are. Nathan. To him, Julian is his father. And honestly, he's earned that title. The words stung, but Nathan expected them. He nodded, swallowing his pride. I know I can't undo the past, but I need to try. I need to be there for Leo, even if it's just in a small way. Claire leaned back in her chair, her expression softening ever so slightly. Do you even understand what you're asking for? Leo's happy. He has a stable life. Julian has been more of a father to him than you ever were. What happens if you come into his life and disrupt all of that? Nathan had no answer. For the first time, he realized the depth of the damage he might cause by stepping in. Still, he couldn't walk away again. I'm not asking to take Julian's place, he said finally. I just want a chance to know my son. The next day, Nathan received an unexpected visit. Julian showed up at his hotel, calm but firm. I don't know what you're planning, but I need to make something clear, Julian said as he sat across from Nathan in the lounge. Leo is my son in every way that matters. I've been there for him since he was a baby. You don't just get to show up and claim a role in his life. Nathan clenched his jaw but forced himself to stay composed. I'm not trying to replace you. Julia, I respect what you've done for him, but I'm his biological father. I have a right to be part of his life. Julian's expression darkened. A right? You gave up that right the moment you walked out on Claire. You didn't just leave her. You left Leo before he was even born. Do you have any idea how hard she's worked to give him a good life? Nathan looked down, guilt consuming him. Julian continued, his tone softer now. Leo is a great kid, and that's because of Claire. Don't ruin what she's built just because you feel like making amends. Despite Julian's warning, Nathan stayed in Paris. He wasn't ready to leave without seeing Leo again. One morning, as he walked near Claire's apartment, he spotted Leo playing soccer in a small park. The boy's laughter filled the air as he kicked the ball toward a group of friends. Nathan stayed hidden, watching from a distance, his heart aching with both pride and regret. Leo fell, scraping his knee, and Nathan instinctively stepped forward. But before he could move closer, Claire appeared, rushing to her son's side. She knelt beside Leo, checking his knee, and Julian arrived moments later, carrying a first aid kit. Together, they cared for the boy, their teamwork seamless. Nathan stepped back, realizing he was witnessing the family he had abandoned. It was both beautiful and devastating. Nathan knew he couldn't keep lurking in the shadows. That evening, he sent Claire a message. I know I've caused you pain, but I need to see Leo one last time before I leave Paris. Please, just one chance to talk to him. To his surprise, Claire agreed, but under one condition. Julian would be present, and the meeting would happen in a public place. Nathan accepted without hesitation. This was his chance to finally speak to his son. The meeting took place at a quiet park. Leo was shy, hiding behind Claire as Nathan approached. Julian stood nearby, his presence protective but non-threatening. Nathan knelt to Leo's level, offering a gentle smile. Hi, Leo, he said softly. My name is Nathan. I used to know your mom a long time ago. Leo looked at him curiously, then glanced at Claire, who nodded reassuringly. Did you know me too? Leo asked, his voice small. Nathan's throat tightened. No, he admitted. I didn't know about you until recently. But now that I do, I wanted to meet you. Leo tilted his head, studying Nathan. Why? Nathan took a deep breath. Because you're important to me, and I wanted you to know that. The meeting ended quickly, with Leo clinging to Claire as they left. Nathan felt both relief and heartbreak. He had met his son, but he could sense the distance that still remained. Julian stayed behind for a moment, approaching Nathan with a warning. This is your only chance. Nathan, don't push it. Let them be. But Nathan wasn't ready to give up. He knew the road ahead would be hard, but for Leo's sake, he was willing to fight. Nathan thought the hardest part was meeting Leo, but he was wrong. The brief encounter left him yearning for more, but it also sparked a chain reaction of events that escalated tensions among everyone involved. A few days after the meeting, Nathan received a stern message from Julian. We need to talk, it read. They met in a small cafe near Claire's apartment. Julian arrived first, his demeanor calm but his eyes filled with unspoken fury. You've had your moment, Julian began, his voice low and steady. Now, it's time for you to leave. Nathan clenched his fists under the table. I'm not here to cause trouble, Julian. I just want to be a part of my son's life. Your son? Julian leaned forward, his tone sharpening. Leo doesn't even know you. To him, I'm the one who's been there, through every scraped knee, every bad dream, every birthday. You think you can just waltz in and take that away? Nathan's jaw tightened. I'm not trying to take your place. I respect what you've done for him, but I'm his father. Julian's expression darkened. Being a father isn't just about biology. It's about showing up, day after day, year after year. You abandoned Claire and Leo before he was even born. Do you really think you deserve a place in his life now? The words hit Nathan like a punch, but he refused to back down. I made a mistake. I won't deny that. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. Later that evening, Nathan visited Claire's apartment, uninvited. The door opened, and Claire's expression immediately soured when she saw him. Nathan, what are you doing here? She snapped. I just want to talk, he said, trying to keep his voice calm. Please. Claire stepped outside, closing the door behind her to keep Leo from hearing. You've already caused enough disruption. What more could you possibly want? I need you to understand, Nathan began, his voice trembling. I didn't know about Leo. If you had, Claire interrupted, her voice rising. You would have stayed? Don't lie to yourself. Nathan, you left because you wanted something better, something that didn't include us. Nathan took a deep breath. I left because I was stupid and blind, but I'm trying to make things right. Claire shook her head, tears glistening in her eyes. You don't get to walk back into our lives and pretend like the last 10 years didn't happen. Their argument grew heated, voices echoing through the quiet hallway. Julian appeared moments later, his presence like a shield between Nathan and Claire. That's enough, he said firmly, ushering Claire back inside. Unbeknownst to them, Leo had been listening through the door. The next morning, he confronted Claire with questions that shattered her composure. Is Nathan my dad? Leo asked bluntly, his wide eyes searching hers for answers. Claire froze, her heart sinking. Leo, it's complicated, she began, but the boy cut her off. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't he stay? Leo's voice cracked, filled with confusion and hurt. Claire knelt in front of him, tears streaming down her face. I wanted to protect you, she whispered. Nathan, he wasn't ready to be a father back then, but he's here now, Leo said, his tone uncertain. Does that mean he wants to be my dad? As tensions within Claire's family reached a boiling point, another storm brewed on the horizon. Isabella, Nathan's former mentor and the woman who had pushed him to leave Claire years ago, arrived in Paris. She had heard whispers about Nathan's recent actions and was far from pleased. Isabella confronted Nathan at his hotel, her expression a mix of anger and disappointment. What are you doing? She demanded. You've worked too hard to throw it all away for this. This? Nathan repeated, his voice cold. You mean my family? They're not your family anymore, Isabella snapped. You walked away. You made a choice. Don't let sentimentality ruin everything you've built. Nathan glared at her, his patience finally snapping. What I've built means nothing if I can't fix what I broke. Stay out of this. Isabella. But Isabella wasn't one to back down. If you think you can walk away from me and from the deals we've made, think again. I can destroy you. Nathan. Her threat hung heavy in the air, but Nathan refused to be intimidated. Do what you have to, he said quietly. I'm done living your version of my life. The conflict came to a head one evening when Nathan, Claire, Julian, and Leo unexpectedly found themselves in the same park. It started with an innocent encounter. Leo was playing soccer, Claire and Julian watching from a bench. Nathan approached, unsure of how to begin, but Leo saw him first. Nathan, the boy called out, his tone curious but excited. Claire stiffened, Julian rising protectively. Nathan hesitated, then knelt to Leo's level. Hey, buddy, he said softly. I just wanted to say hi. Leo looked between Nathan and Claire, sensing the tension. Why is everyone so mad? He asked innocently. The question broke the dam. Claire and Julian launched into a heated argument with Nathan, voices rising as Leo watched, wide-eyed. "Enough!" Claire finally shouted, her voice breaking. She turned to Nathan, her face a mix of exhaustion and anger. "You wanted to meet him? Fine, but this is the last time." Nathan felt the weight of her words, but before he could respond, Julian stepped in. "You've done enough damage," he said coldly. "Leave them alone." As Nathan walked away, his heart heavy, he heard Leo's small voice call out behind him. "Wait!" Nathan turned, hope flickering in his chest. Leo stood there, hesitating before asking, "Will you come back tomorrow?" Nathan's eyes met Claire's. Searching for permission, she nodded, barely perceptible. And in that moment, Nathan knew his battle wasn't over. The tension that had been simmering for weeks finally boiled over one evening when Claire received an unexpected package. Inside was an envelope marked with Nathan's company logo, but its contents were far from professional. It was a collection of old documents, emails, contracts, and personal letters exposing unethical business practices Nathan had been involved in during his rise to success. Claire stared at the papers, her hands trembling. Along with the documents was a note written in elegant handwriting. "Do you really trust him to be part of your family? Think again." Isabella. Furious, Claire confronted Nathan the next day. She barged into his hotel room, throwing the papers onto the table. "Care to explain this?" she demanded, her voice shaking with anger. Nathan looked at the documents, his face pale. "Where did you get this? Does it matter?" Claire snapped. "Is it true?" Nathan hesitated, then nodded slowly. "It's true, but it's in the past. I've changed." "Changed?" Claire scoffed. "You think you can just walk away from everything you've done, to me, to Leo, to your so-called empire, and expect us to believe you?" As the argument raged, Leo overheard their voices from the hallway. Confused and hurt by the growing chaos around him, he made a split-second decision to run. Slipping out the door unnoticed, he darted into the night, clutching the small soccer ball Nathan had given him during their brief meeting. By the time Claire and Nathan realized he was gone, panic set in. Julian joined them as they searched the neighborhood, their shared fear momentarily bridging the deep divide between them. Leo's disappearance triggered a citywide search. Claire's voice cracked as she called his name through the dark streets, and Nathan felt an overwhelming guilt that he couldn't shake. Julian remained composed, but his clenched fists betrayed his rising anxiety. Hours passed without a trace of Leo. Nathan finally remembered a place he and Claire had once visited during their early days in Paris, a small park near Montmartre, where they used to dream about their future. "He might be there," Nathan said, his voice breaking. The three of them rushed to the park, and sure enough, there was Leo, sitting alone on a swing. His soccer ball lay forgotten on the ground, and his tear-streaked face was illuminated by the dim streetlights. Nathan approached cautiously, kneeling beside Leo. "Hey, buddy," he said softly. "What are you doing out here all alone?" Leo sniffled, refusing to meet his eyes. "Why is everyone fighting?" "Is it because of me?" "No," Nathan said firmly, his voice filled with emotion. "It's not your fault, Leo. None of this is your fault." Claire and Julian arrived moments later, their relief evident. Claire hugged Leo tightly, whispering, "Don't ever scare me like that again." But Leo wasn't done. He turned to Nathan, his voice trembling. "Why did you leave me and Mom? Was I not good enough?" Nathan's heart broke at the question. "Leo, I didn't know about you," he admitted. "If I had, I would have stayed. I would have been there for you." Julian stepped forward, his protective instincts flaring. "Don't make promises you can't keep." "Nathan, Leo doesn't need false hope." "I'm not here to make promises," Nathan said, his voice steady. "I'm here to tell the truth." Meanwhile, Isabella wasn't done. Furious that Nathan hadn't backed down, she decided to take drastic action. Using her connections, she leaked damaging information about Nathan's past to the media. Within hours, headlines splashed across major outlets. Millionaire exposed, the scandal behind the success. Reporters swarmed Nathan's hotel and even Claire's apartment, demanding statements. The chaos disrupted Leo's life even further, forcing Claire to consider drastic measures. Realizing the damage Isabella had caused, Nathan knew he had to take responsibility. He called a press conference, standing before the cameras with a calm resolve. "I made mistakes in my past," he began, his voice steady, "and I take full responsibility for them. But those mistakes do not define who I am today. What defines me is my willingness to change and to make things right." His confession was raw and heartfelt, earning him both criticism and sympathy. But more importantly, it sent a message to Claire and Leo. He was willing to fight for them, no matter the cost. After the press conference, Claire invited Nathan to her apartment. Julian watched from the doorway as Nathan sat across from Leo at the kitchen table. The tension was palpable. But for the first time, there was also a sense of possibility. "I don't know if I can trust you," Claire admitted quietly. "But Leo deserves to make his own decision." Leo looked at Nathan, his young eyes filled with a mix of curiosity and hesitation. "Do you really want to be my dad?" "Yes," Nathan said without hesitation, "but only if you'll let me." The scene closed with Leo standing up and walking toward Nathan. He stopped in front of him, looking deep into his eyes. "Okay," Leo said softly. "You can try." Nathan's breath caught, a glimmer of hope igniting in his chest. But as Julian and Claire exchanged wary glances, it was clear that the road ahead would be anything but easy. In the weeks following Leo's decision to let Nathan try, life for everyone slowly began to shift. Nathan worked tirelessly to repair his relationship with Leo, but he knew that trust was something he had to earn, not demand. Their first outing together was awkward. Nathan took Leo to a soccer game, hoping to bond over the sport. Leo was hesitant at first, sitting quietly in his seat while Nathan tried to make small talk. But when the home team scored a goal and the stadium erupted in cheers, Nathan saw a flicker of excitement in Leo's eyes. By the end of the game, Leo was laughing and cheering along with the crowd, and Nathan felt a glimmer of hope. Meanwhile, Julian wrestled with his own emotions. For years, he had been the stable presence in Leo's life, filling the role of a father without hesitation. Seeing Nathan step into that space stirred feelings of insecurity and jealousy, but also guilt. Guilt for not being happy for Leo, who seemed genuinely curious about getting to know Nathan. One evening, Julian and Claire sat together after putting Leo to bed. "Do you think I'm being unfair?" Julian asked quietly. Claire looked at him, her expression thoughtful. "I think you've been everything Leo needed," she said, "and I think he'll always need you. But maybe there's room for Nathan, too." Julian nodded slowly, though the words didn't ease the knot in his chest. Nathan's confession to the media had far-reaching consequences. His business empire crumbled as investors pulled out and partnerships dissolved. Former colleagues distanced themselves, and he faced several legal inquiries. But for the first time in years, Nathan felt at peace. The weight of his secrets was gone, and he could focus entirely on what mattered: Leo. To stabilize Claire and Leo's life, Nathan decided to sell his remaining assets and provide them with financial security. He transferred the money into a trust for Leo's education and future, ensuring that his son would never face the struggles Nathan had in his youth. When Claire learned about the trust, she was stunned. "You didn't have to do this," she said when they met at a cafe. "I did," Nathan replied simply. "It's the least I can do." Months passed, and life found a new rhythm. Claire and Julian's relationship grew stronger, and eventually, Julian proposed. The wedding was a small, intimate affair, held in the garden of a charming Parisian villa. Leo played the role of ring-bearer, grinning ear to ear as he walked down the aisle. Nathan attended the ceremony, sitting quietly in the back row. He watched as Claire and Julian exchanged vows, feeling a bittersweet mix of emotions. This wasn't the life he had imagined with Claire, but it was the life she deserved. A life filled with love, stability, and happiness. After the ceremony, Leo ran over to Nathan, proudly showing off the ring he had carried. "Did I do good?" he asked. You did great, Nathan said, ruffling Leo's hair. Your mom must be so proud. And you? Leo asked, looking up at him. Nathan smiled. Always. In the months following the wedding, Nathan and Leo's relationship continued to grow. They started meeting regularly, going to museums, parks, and even cooking together at Nathan's small apartment. Slowly but surely, they built a connection that felt real and unforced. One afternoon, while walking through Montmartre, Leo asked a question that caught Nathan off guard. Why did you leave my mom? Nathan stopped, his chest tightening. I was scared, he admitted. I thought I needed to be someone else, someone more successful, to be happy, but I was wrong. Leaving your mom was the biggest mistake I ever made. Leo was quiet for a moment, then said, But you're here now. Nathan nodded, a lump forming in his throat. And I'm not going anywhere. Thought. The story closes with Nathan attending one of Leo's school events, a science fair where Leo proudly shows off a project they worked on together. Standing beside Claire and Julian, Nathan feels a sense of belonging he hasn't known in years. As the fair wraps up, Leo runs over to Nathan, holding a small trophy. We won, he exclaims, his face glowing with excitement. Nathan crouches down, pulling Leo into a hug. I'm so proud of you, he says, his voice thick with emotion. Claire watches from a distance, her expression soft. Julian places a hand on her shoulder. He's not so bad, Julian says with a small smile. No, Claire agrees, her voice quiet. He's not. As Nathan walks out of the school with Leo's hand in his, he feels something he hasn't felt in a long time. Hope. The road ahead is still uncertain, but for the first time, he's ready to face it, one step at a time. Life is about second chances, but they're never guaranteed. It's not the mistakes we make, but how we work to make them right that defines us. Thank you for watching this heartfelt story of redemption and family. If this story moved you or made you think about the importance of forgiveness and second chances, don't forget to hit the like button to show your support. Share this video with your friends and loved ones because everyone deserves a story that touches the heart. Subscribe to our channel for more inspiring and emotional stories like this one. Let us know in the comments below. What would you do if given a second chance to fix your biggest mistake? Your thoughts could inspire others. Stay tuned for more stories that move, inspire, and remind us of the power of love and redemption.